Welcome back to anewz. Now, staying with the conflict involving Iran, I'm now joined by our guest, Maurice Hirsch, Director of Initiative for Palestinian Authority, Accountability and Reform at the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs. He's joining me from Tel Aviv. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon.
So my first question really, just to kick things off, is for millions of people, especially in Iran, it's a national holiday, Nowruz, and the start of the new year. But Israel has hit Tehran with airstrikes. Has the level of this aggression reached new heights, especially because of what Israel's strategy is? And does it involve destroying Tehran's population too?
Absolutely not. I think what we're talking about is that an Iranian regime, a genocidal regime bent on destroying America, bent on destroying Israel. They've been causing havoc the last 50 years in the entire region, undermining every single one of the different leaderships. They sent Hezbollah to Lebanon to destroy Lebanon. They sent Hamas and they armed Hamas to destroy the Palestinian population. They sent to Yemen. Every way they've been operating in order to undermine stability. They had the chance to give up on this race for a nuclear weapon to destroy everyone, and yet they chose death and destruction. It is not Israel's policy that we are dealing with here. It's an Iranian policy of a death cult that unfortunately has allowed to get out of years and needed to be reined in. It really did destroy the entire region.
I see. Sorry, Mr. Hirsch, sorry, your connection keeps coming in and out, but I just wanted to just pick up on one or two things. You're saying obviously this regime is, a deadly one. It's a threat. But does that mean that Israel, striking Tehran during such a national holiday was the right thing to do, considering its population is celebrating this festive season?
I think that's an interesting question to ask when you're talking about, and obviously remember the 7th of October was a Jewish holiday that the Iranian and Hamas chose in order to massacre innocent civilians. What Israel is targeting is military within Tehran. We have no war with the Iranian people. We are there to destroy the Iranian regime, and a regime of death and of malice. That's what that.
And then today, reports suggest that Washington is now considering blockading Iran's Hague Island to force Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. What impact do you think that could have in relation to if the US decided to take that particular route?
Well, I think again, once again, we're seeing that Iran has been given the option. There are certain rules to this war. The war could be excluding any type of blockade on the export of oil from any of the countries around the Arabian. But the Iranians are choosing positively to attack all of the ships that are going through the Straits of Hormuz. They chose to mine the Straits of Hormuz. They chose to go in a direction which will be inevitably the destruction of the Iranian economy. They cannot survive what they started, and they would do well if they took the indications that they've already been given and the additional chances that they've already been given in order to stop those practices and to allow the free movement of oil and gas through the Straits of Hormuz unimpeded by their terrorism.
Some might argue that this fight that's going on between Israel and the US is something that was brought to Iran. They didn't start it, so therefore they're just trying to defend themselves. What is your thoughts on that, especially when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, and they're using that as, until this war continues, that shipping opening will be closed, will be suspended?
So the Iranian regime has been shouting for 50 years, death to Israel. They've been spending hundreds of millions to develop a nuclear program, a nuclear weapons program dedicated to the destruction of America and of Israel. And so to say that it's Israel and America that brought this to the Iranian doorstep, I think an interesting way, in reality, but I think somewhat devoid of any real context. The Iranians chose this fight. They had every opportunity to step down, to give up on that desire to destroy Israel, America, and yet they said, no matter what, no matter the consequences, that is our drive. And that is what brought us to this conflict.
And yes, and we're now heading into the fourth week coming from tomorrow. Now, Israel continues striking targets, as you mentioned, linked to Iran. How closely is Israel aligned to US objectives in this conflict? Some say they are on different pages, maybe.
Between Israel and America, the goals are similar goals, each one obviously with their own national interests. The core of both the drive and the Israeli drive is to ensure that the Iranian regime cannot execute its plan to attack Israel and to attack America. And as they said, death to America, death to Israel. That is what the core of war is about. And that is what is being executed at the moment. There is obviously the incidental goals of the war to free the Iranian people who were just massacred by this regime. 35 to 50,000 people massacred on streets just for protesting against this despotic regime. And that obviously, if we can bring about freedom of the Iranian people, will certainly be an added bonus.
President Trump has called on NATO allies to help secure the Strait of Hormuz, but several governments appear reluctant. How do you think that affects Washington's options as it tries to prevent oil prices from rising further?
I don't think President Trump has relied on NATO for many, many years. Already in his first term, he identified NATO as something which had really past its sell-by date. NATO was developed as a response to the USSR. Since the collapse of the US, NATO's relevance has been dwindling all the way along, and the NATO countries are proving that even when they are attacked, Turkey, a NATO country, was attacked by Iran. Great Britain, a NATO country, was attacked by Iran. They still don't step up, even to defend themselves. And I think that President Trump is now calling out this paper tiger for what NATO is funded predominantly by the US, its US forces, its US machine, its US, and those countries will,
Mr. Hirsch,
very large pride, refusing to participate in their defence.
But Mr. Hirsch, just in that, in regards to NATO, Article 5 doesn't actually tell them that they have to step in. It's only for defence purposes. So technically, they're not going against the NATO rules within that.
Were they not attacked? Was Great Britain not attacked? Did the Iranians not attack the base in Cyprus? Was Turkey not attacked by the Iranians? I think that it's hard to see argument where they said, well, we weren't attacked, so we're not going to get involved. Some of them were attacked, and so they should be involved, even for their own self-defense. The others, that's the nature of the pact, that when one of the countries is attacked, everyone comes to their defense. That's really the essence of NATO. And once that breaks down, then obviously America has much less to lose than European countries for the breakdown of NATO.
Well, now in regards to that, Israel has also carried out strikes in Lebanon and tensions are rising in Syria. How broad is Israel's military engagement now across the region?
The question is, how broad is the Iranian desire to cause chaos around the region? And to answer your question, we have to really in Lebanon. Hezbollah was warned not to get involved in this conflict. We don't have a conflict with the Lebanese people. We would be happy if they would be able to free themselves from the yoke of the Ayatollahs in Tehran. But unfortunately, they've chosen a different path. Similarly, in Syria, they've chosen a different path. These are unfortunate developments, predominantly for them, because Israel has shown that it has the force, the ability to defend itself against these attacks, and we will carry.
Mr. Hirsch? Hello, Mr. Hirsch, can you hear me? I think we've lost you, but I just want to say thank you for your contributions this evening. and I'm sure we'll speak to you again. Thank you. That was Mr. Hirsch there.